Okay, we're online.
All right, welcome everybody to the Spanish and Shadowing 2022 program. This is the Shadow Abroad Foundation Spanish and Shadowing program for 2022. Welcome to our open house. We're just going to take a couple of minutes here as we see people still hopping on. We'll give it about a minute or so as I see people hopping on still. Yes, there are. If you are looking for a program to help your fluency in Spanish, you're in the right place. If you're a pre-med, pre-health student looking for that specifically, this is absolutely the right place for you. We will begin in a few seconds, but as we go along, I'll try to answer as many questions as possible this evening. Tried to get them all during the presentation, but if I miss anybody's questions, just be sure to write any questions you have in the chat box. Carolina has already written for you a little message in the chat box there, and you can definitely put all of your questions in there. We'll try to get to all of your questions during this presentation, but if I miss anything, we will have your question there, and we will have one of our advisors send you an email with the answer, okay? So let's give it about 20 more seconds. Again, this is the Spanish and Shadowing, Shadow Abroad Foundation Spanish and Shadowing program for Latin America in 2022. All right, so I think we can start now. And first thing I want to do is start by thanking the staff that's here with me today. So I wanted to say thank you to Karen. Hola, Karen. There she is. Hola. Karen comes to us from Australia, so she knows absolutely what it's like for a person to be in a place where, you know, the vocabulary sometimes is a little limited. So she can definitely, you know, give you information on that. And Karen is located right now in the very, 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 very far south of Chile, in Puerto Natales, where it's really close to the South Pole down there. So keeping warm, Karen, down there, I hope, even though we've already started our spring, but it's still quite chilly down there. And also thank you for being here to Phil. Hola, Phil.
Hola. Hola a todos.
¿Cómo estás? Phil is the father of two, and he is currently out of La Serena. That's in the 4th region of Chile, right kind of in the middle, close to the driest desert in the world. That's the Atacama Desert. Getting there, not exactly, but getting there. But Phil enjoys beautiful weather and sunny beaches all year round mostly. And like I said, he's a father of two, so he knows exactly what it's like for you parents out there watching as well, letting your children go off into the world, into this wonderful program. So he can definitely give you some insight on what that's like, especially for the parents out there watching this evening and that have questions about, you know, what's all this about? What's this country like? And what's the safety like? And all of those great things. Also with us here this evening, and I want to thank, is Martha. Hola, hola, Martha. ¿Cómo estás?
Hola, muy bien, gracias.
Thanks, Martha. Martha is also one of our advisors. She's out of Santiago, Chile, the capital of Chile, where you will land probably your first landing spot when you do this program in Santiago, close to the Andes Mountains, but only 90 minutes away from Viña del Mar, the beach area. So for those of you who like to ski, we are about 90 minutes away from the beach to the mountains. So that's kind of a wonderful thing we have. And Martha has also been to, excuse me, the United States, and can also give you insight on what it's like to be on the other end of things, what it's like to be in a country that's, you know, foreign to you in the beginning, and how difficult things are when you are a newcomer, which she once was in the US at some point, okay? So thank you to all of our advisors here today, and of course, thank you to Carolina. Hola, Carolina.
Hi, everyone.
Carolina's helping me on the back end of this presentation, and she'll help me with the technical end of things as well. And so bear with me because I'm not too techie, but that's where Carolina comes in, and she's going to help me. Carolina's family lives in the United States, in Miami, so she's lucky and gets to travel every so often to visit her family out in sunny Miami. And again, she's also been through a lot with her family and how they've been going through the healthcare system as well. So she can also give you a lot of background with regards to how that works and, you know, what some of the difficulties some people have. So we'll be discussing all of these things a little bit more as we go along, but I did want to acknowledge everybody that's here today. They are all keeping an eye on that chat box. Again, if you have any questions as we go along, go ahead and write them in the chat box, and our advisors will get to you as soon as possible. Okay, so once again, welcome everybody, and let's get straight to it. And I want to talk about the first thing that comes to mind these days, and that's what's going on with COVID. All right, so I wanted to let you know that all of our schools are currently either open or in the process of opening because things are getting a little better here in South America. We are a little bit behind the United States. So, you know, we're starting our spring. So think about when you started spring and how things were just, you know, starting to move a lot more. Well, that's where we are. And we're really happy, especially in Chile, because we are going into our third vaccine. So the third booster is being distributed right now, and things are looking up. The cases are really low. And of course, we are taking the precautions necessary and dictated by our local authorities, you know, keeping social distance. Face masks are still worn in public. Of course, we have frequent sanitization of our spaces. And of course, sanitizer should be used as often as possible where you can't have the opportunity to actually wash your hands, because we know that that's the best thing to do. But again, what we wanted to let you know is that we are headed in a really great direction. We're really happy to have a little bit of our freedom back, because that was something that was really difficult. Borders are opening. Most of the borders are already open for many of the countries that had their borders closed in Latin America in general. And so we are really happy that that's where we are. And we anticipate as well that by the time the program begins, things will be a lot better. So we're really happy about that. If you have any questions with regards to the COVID situation in any of the countries that you will be traveling to, feel free to request information from our advisors, and we're happy to provide you with up-to-date information on what the situation is pretty much on a weekly basis, because we know that this changes. So we'll keep you all updated. Okay. So tonight's open house is for you to understand and learn a little bit about our Spanish and shadowing program. This is a program that's meant to get you fluent in Spanish. Our main goal is to get you fluent, and we do this with a AAMC compliant program. Our 2022 program includes 3 courses. The core program includes 3 Spanish courses, which means that you'll go up 3 levels of Spanish, or the equivalent of more or less 3 semesters. Okay, this happens really quickly. So if you're starting at, let's say, Spanish 101, you'll be able to do 101, 102, and 201. If you start off at 102, then you'll do 102, 201, 202, and so forth and so on. Okay, this program also includes medical shadowing, healthcare research project, volunteer opportunities, all of which we'll talk a little bit more about in depth in a little while. And of course, the classes span from your general Spanish classes, Spanish 101 to 302. We also have a heritage program for advanced speakers, and we do have some thematic classes as well available for those of you who are advanced learners. Now, the heritage program, for those of you who are not familiar, is created specifically having those students in mind that learn Spanish at home. okay, that were able to speak Spanish and have, a good level of communication, but are lacking in some areas like writing or limited vocabulary, or not at the academic or working level that you need to be a functional provider. Okay, so that's what the Heritage Program is all about. And if anybody out there right now listening is interested in getting more information about that Heritage Program, again, feel free to contact us or write in the chat box, please send information about the Heritage Program. All right. Okay, so let's dive into who we are and what this program is all about. Our first program began in 2002, so we are 20 years old as a program, and we've seen over 800 students go through our program. And back in 2002, we started this program with only 3 students, okay? 3 students, and they were from Chicago. And of course, we called that group the Chicago Hope Group because of the TV show that was popular back then, back in the day. And like I said, we've seen over 800 students come through our program. That makes us really, really happy, because we know that these are 800 or more than 800 healthcare professionals that are out there that are equipped and have the tools to provide healthcare in a safe environment, in a safe way, to so many people out there. So many people out there in the United States right now. As a matter of fact, there are approximately 52 million Spanish speakers in the US today. They believe that by the year 2050, 1 in every 4 people in the US, that's a quarter of the population, will be Spanish speaker. So that's a huge number. It's already a large number, but imagine how that number is going to be growing in the future. So we realize, and as a program, we see that there is definitely a need for fluency in Spanish, just because of the sheer numbers, okay? We wish that we could communicate with everyone in the United States. It's such a diverse population, so many beautiful languages to be spoken, but we do concentrate on Spanish, like I said, because of the number of Spanish speakers. A lot of you may not know that Spanish is the second, the US has the second largest Spanish speaking population in the world. Okay, in the whole world. That means that there are more Spanish speakers in the US than there are, for example, in all of Spain. You know, that's insane to think about. There are more Spanish speakers in the US than there are in any country in South America or Central America. The only country that has more Spanish speakers is Mexico, because of the population. But other than that, the US is up there. So there's definitely a language gap, okay? A barrier that does not allow for healthcare professionals to be able to communicate directly with their students. Sorry, not their students, their patients. And that's a problem, you know, because there is no bond created when there is no communication. I was reading a quote today, and they said, to a clinician or to a healthcare provider, language equals a scalpel for a surgeon. And that's a really interesting way to look at it, because how do you diagnose somebody? How do you find out about their symptoms? Well, how do you know what's going on? Of course, there are methods, but what's the best way to do that? It's creating that bond with that patient. It's finding out what their symptoms are, what their ailments are, you know, what their background is all about. And that removed from this equation makes things so much more difficult. And my slide here says that when a healthcare provider can speak to the patient in their language, the patient feels like a welcome part of the community. And I think we can't really forget about that, because these are people that have arrived to the United States and are working really hard to be a part of this community. These are people that it's not that they don't want to learn English, it's just sometimes a little difficult. And there are so many factors that really will limit the number of people that can learn. It's time. You know, some people are holding 2 to 3 jobs, trying to make ends meet, getting into the rhythm, sending money back home for those who weren't as fortunate enough to them to have the opportunity for a better financial situation. Sometimes it's money, right? And not necessarily, you know, having to pay a course, because a lot of people tell me, hey, but Patty, there's a lot of, you know, free courses. Yes, there is. But it means that I have to drop one of my extra jobs to make time to take those classes. And they're not always at a convenient time or place for everybody. So that is difficult as well. So there we go again with time and money. And then unfortunately, for a good number of the population, there's literacy, which can also come into play and be one of the difficulties. So a lot of these people work really hard to become a part of the community, and not feeling accepted because of the language barrier makes it even more difficult. I always say that we're most vulnerable when we're ill, and I can only imagine how difficult it must be to have that extra burden of not being able to communicate properly, of not being able to tell somebody what's going on and how you feel, or having to open up and lose your intimacy, your privacy, having somebody else in the room, whether it's a stranger, you know, an interpreter that, of course, you know, as professional as an interpreter can be, it's still a stranger in the room when you're talking about your most intimate situations, right? Your most private issues are your healthcare issues. And it's not easy. It's not easy. It's already hard opening up to your health provider, plus having, you know, everybody find out that you can't speak the language. It's embarrassing. It's frustrating, it's intimidating, it's so many things. So that's what our mission is all about. It's helping to bridge that language gap. And this program is really meant for those students who recognize that there is a language gap crisis with Spanish speakers in the US and want to take a step forward to bridge that gap. This program is meant for students who want to become fluent, understanding that a large number of their future patients will be Spanish speakers, and they will be able to help them by taking the step forward and being able to communicate with them and making them feel okay, making them feel good. It's incredible how people just feel good by being able to communicate, to connect on so many levels, and especially when you're speaking to somebody. So one of the things that we recognize then is that, like I said, in the future, the number of Spanish speakers will grow. And because of that, our community, our demographic, okay, our cities, our neighborhoods are going to change as well, okay? And what we're doing here is recognizing that this change is happening, that this change needs to be addressed. And if we look at my screen here, it says doctors must face today's demographic realities. Spanish-speaking doctors fill a nationwide gap, a critical nationwide gap, opening the doors of communication between doctors and patients. And this was said by the AMA Journal of Ethics, okay? And as much as we feel the same way, we also want to point out and highlight that there are more and more hospitals and clinics that are recognizing that this is a situation, that this needs to be addressed, that there are people that are in imminent danger because of this miscommunication. The false cognates are almost a daily thing. Okay, and sure, we have a lot of technology that comes into play. We have interpreters and we have these gadgets that help us. I know that there have been, even through COVID, that we've seen the critical issue come up. There were some video conferences with interpreters, and so many things that come into play, the cell phones that help out. And But there's a problem with that as well, not just the ones that I mentioned about having an extra person in the room, but we also have to consider the time it takes, the concentration being taken away from that doctor because I'm fidgeting with some kind of apparatus to make sure that I'm able to communicate with my patient rather than provide that time to my patient. Another thing is that there isn't a lot of time in healthcare. How much time does a doctor have with a patient, maybe in an ER? 10 minutes, if we're lucky? Well, it's going to take you double that time just to get an interpreter on the telephone. And you are going to be concentrating on coordinating all of this, the language barrier solution, right? Whether it's a cell phone, whether it's an interpreter, you have to spend your time to coordinate all of that great thing. And that's time consuming, right? That's time taken away from patients that you could have been seeing as well. So we realize that this isn't only critical from the patient's perspective, but also from the perspective of the healthcare professional, from the doctors, the nurses, all of you that, you know, put yourself out there to take care of us, to take care of our friends and our families. And, you know, I think that a healthcare provider has a huge responsibility as it is. You know, taking our lives into your hands is not something that, you know, we laymen look as very lightly. But to add to that, the burden of a possible miscommunication, the dangers in that, in the fact that, you know, some information could be lost in translation, just puts so much more stress on the system, the health professional, and the patient. So that's what we are here to do. We are here to provide this program that allows you to become a part of the solution, like I said earlier, be able to communicate directly with your patients and provide healthcare with dignity, because that's something we forget sometimes. That's something that's missing. I think, I truly believe, from the link. It's kind of like the missing link in the chain. So, you know, you are all ready and prepared with all of this wonderful information that you're going to require to be able to take care of all of us, right? You're learning all about the biology and the physiology and all of the anatomy and all of those wonderful things that are going to make you a wonderful provider in the future. But we can't forget this piece, because this piece is communication, and that equals dignity. Because if I have to, you know, remove everything, you know, if we think about removing all our clothes, it's already intimidating to do that. And to present yourself in this way, removing all of your privacy with other people, with an extra person, with an interpreter, with somebody who's not even in particularly healthcare altogether, it's hard. Okay. All right. So our mission, like I said, is to prepare professionals for a modern America. And that's who we are. A modern America that's going to come in different shapes, colors, and sizes, where we will all blend into this wonderful rainbow of people, just people in general. And I think that's where we want to go with this. We want to create fluent healthcare professionals. We need more bilingual healthcare professionals to be able to take care of so many people in the United States, 52 million today. And well, that figure is probably a lot more, because that figure is probably 2 years old now. Okay, that's a huge number, right? That's imagine at least 2 of your patients per day will be Spanish speakers, and at least one of them won't be able to communicate appropriately with you at a level that you can help them out at. That's huge to think about. that's a huge burden on you as well. So I commend you all for coming here today. And I think hearing it from me is one thing, but I think also listening to your peers talk about it is a little different. So I'm going to just stop sharing my screen for a second, and I'm going to ask Carolina to play a short video for us. And this video is, there are some students who have taken the program and who are going to tell you a little bit about this program and how they felt in the program. And hopefully it'll spark some ideas for you, perhaps to ask about and some questions. Remember, if you have questions, if there's anything I haven't addressed yet, go ahead and write them in the chat box. We'll be taking some questions shortly after the video. But for the time being, let's watch this video. Carolina, are we ready? Okay, and I'll come back to you in just a second.
This program, it was honestly awesome, you know. You get here and you're so nervous. It was my first time out of the country. I had no idea what to expect, what I was going to be doing, anything. I didn't know any Spanish before I came here. But when I got here, like, everyone was so supportive. I learned Spanish, I feel like, very well. You get here and you're in this entirely new place, and you know, it's like you have to learn Spanish, and you do, because you are immersed.
I chose this program specifically since it combines medicine and Spanish as well, and I'm currently a pre-med student. So this program was really unique that it offered Spanish classes as well as shadowing opportunities, and what I really took out of it was the shadowing opportunities. The school did a really great job of setting all of us up for great doctors to shadow with and to learn.
I love my classes. Classes are awesome, but definitely my favorite part of the program has been actually working and shadowing doctors in the hospitals here. It's awesome experience that you just really can't get in the classroom. Studying Spanish in the classroom is one thing, but actually living it out on the streets and in hospitals with people who, you know, speak it like that's their language. That's a totally different thing.
I was one of the students who was chosen to do a few 12-hour shifts in the emergency room. I saw a lot of really cool things and really excited that I got to do that. I also got to see a few surgeries with a gastroenterologist. So yeah, my experience here has been really great, and I wish I could stay longer, but yeah, everything's been great.
Hola, me llamo Kendall, soy de Dallas, Texas, y estoy estudiando biología y filosofía a la Universidad de Texas at Austin. I really wanted to see what the healthcare system was like in a different country. So my first shadowing experience, I just sat down in the clinic and watched the doctor kind of do his thing. I saw a surgery where they removed the entire gallbladder. I saw a gastric sleeve surgery. It was really, really cool. And it was very awesome to see the dynamic between all the doctors and the patients as well. Like in the clinical setting, it's so different than in the States. My classes at Acela are very small, just a couple of people. We usually talk through a couple different topics using the verbs or the grammar that we're learning that day. We talk about really cool and interesting issues that are happening in the country. The other day we talked about like survival tactics. It's conversations you would have in real life, not just like ordering at a restaurant.
Hola, soy Grace, and I'm studying biology and chemistry at the University of Illinois. I love the classes because it forces you to talk all the time, and that's something that I've never had before in the classroom. And the teachers are super good at kind of hearing the things we're struggling with, so they accommodate you during class with things that we're having a lot of trouble with. And yeah, I've just seen my speaking abilities just skyrocket while being here, and yeah, the teachers are phenomenal. I really like shadowing and just comparing kind of different healthcare systems because I have only seen one in my life, so just seeing the relationships with doctors and patients here, I really like how it's closer, and it's something that I definitely want to strive for, like in my own practice or just experiences at home.
All right, thank you, Carolina. Actually, I'm going to ask Carolina to play one more video because I think it's really important. So you've got the perspective from the student. And you've heard it from your peers, what it's like coming here and some of their experiences and some of the, I suppose, some of the experiences that you're going to be able to experience as well. Now, this next video is of the director of our Buenos Aires school and also our academic coordinator, Laura, and she talks a little bit about what it's like from our end to have you all here. And you'll also hear a few words from Dr. Rodriguez, our clinical director. So if you are watching from a small screen, I suggest that you make it as large as possible because these two videos coming up are in Spanish, but there are subtitles to help you understand. So go ahead and make your screen really big now because Carolina will play those two short videos for us now. Okay, we're talking about another 2 or 3 minutes, so I suggest that you do watch these. All right, thanks, Gado.
Hola, estamos aquí con Laura, ella es directora de la escuela en Buenos Aires.
Lo que nosotros proponemos en nuestras escuelas es que puedan aprender a hablar rápido. Entonces, aunque no sepas nada, el primer día de clase te vas a ir con un montón de herramientas para poder sobrevivir, comprar, y esa primera semana te va a ayudar a sentar las bases que, bueno, van a ser muy útiles para los próximos niveles. No hay que tener miedo, al contrario, aprender una nueva lengua también nos permite abrir todo un horizonte a una cultura, a una forma de pensar diferente y a observar el mundo de una manera distinta. Entonces, nuestro trabajo no es solo como lingüistas o como profesores de idiomas, sino también como embajadores de una cultura, ¿no?, que abrimos a los estudiantes.
Hola, soy el doctor Leonardo Rodríguez, médico cirujano dedicado a la cirugía de la obesidad y de la diabetes. En nuestro centro, en donde un grupo de profesionales manejan a nuestros pacientes, hemos tenido la experiencia hermosa de interactuar con ESELA desde hace varios años. Eso ha significado que nuestros alumnos han tenido la posibilidad de ver a un equipo profesional médico interactuando con un paciente en los distintos ambientes, tanto en la consulta médica como en la sala de operaciones cuando les hacemos una cirugía a los pacientes. Ellos tienen la oportunidad de conocer el lenguaje técnico médico, pero también aquel coloquial, aquel que permite acercar al profesional de la salud a nuestro paciente en forma respetuosa, pero afectuosa siempre.
Great, thank you for that, Carolina. I'm going to go back to share my screen and we'll talk a little bit about what we just heard. And basically what we heard was Laura letting you know that it doesn't matter what your level of Spanish is when you come, because we're not just linguists here that are preparing you to become fluent, but we also want to be ambassadors of this culture so that you can understand the language from a cultural immersion perspective. You heard some of the students say that it happens really quickly, and it happens very quickly because you are immersed in the culture. We believe that language and culture go hand in hand. You can't have one without the other. There's always something missing. Like when somebody is telling, a story about something that happened a while ago, but you weren't there, so you understand what they're saying. They're speaking in English. But it's just not funny to you because you had to be there, right? So that's kind of like the feeling you get when you learn a language without having understood the culture completely. And the culture also provides you with ideas, tips, and understanding of how to communicate with patients, because you do have to be culturally empathetic. You do have to take into consideration a culture when you are providing healthcare. It's very important. So that's what Laura was talking about. And then Dr. Rodriguez added to that, saying that, when students come here, the opportunity that they have by, being present in these clinical environments is to understand the everyday terminology, the colloquialisms. okay? Because yes, you'll learn the word stomach in a book, but you might not see tummy or belly or gut. And those are the things that you're going to be picking up on. So this program, again, here looking at my screen, it's a short program. It is a short program. You know, it's only 9 weeks, but it takes you through 3 levels of Spanish. As I said before, almost the equivalent of 3 semesters worth. Okay, and you're not just picking up the language skills that you require in a small setting where you're able to practice. Like one of our students said, I'd never had that before, right? Because if you're lucky enough to get a Spanish class into your undergraduate degree, which is a little difficult considering you all have very heavy schedules as it is, heavy curriculums. You are with maybe 20 other people in a class, if you're lucky, sometimes more. And the classes aren't really conducive to getting you talking, right? And they're not conducive because they're not putting you in that clinical environment, which is what you need to use. All right. And they're missing that component of the culture, which provides you with the cultural empathy. So with this program, you get all of that. And you're going to also receive a college transcript, which will keep you on track for graduation, of course. And you can use those credits for your undergraduate degree, or you can also keep them for grad school. And a lot of our students decide to do that. Okay, they want to keep those credits for grad school. Some of you have already gained the credits that you need, but want to still do the program, and that's fine as well. All right, some people use their transcript as a part of their resume. Just to let those people know out there, grad school, an application to grad school, an application for a job, just to let people know where you are, what level you're at. And that's something that's you know, really important to keep in mind as well. So there are components of this program that are what we call some extras, okay? And we call them extras because they're there to provide you with extra practice to get you fluent in Spanish. So this program has 3 of those extras. The first one, and I think one of the most attractive ones, is that medical shadowing. And you will learn about a little bit about, you know, the differences in the medical system, and you'll be seeing how medicine works in Latin America. But the main goal of this piece is to get you fluent in Spanish, is to get you to listen to the Spanish that you're learning during the day in your classes being used in a real clinical environment. So the objective of the medical shadowing is to give you the opportunity to listen to the vocabulary, to become more culturally sensitive and empathetic on that in that area as well. The second piece is the research project. And this isn't a lab research project. This isn't a scientific research project to, you know, just to make it more clear. Rather, it's a linguistic project. So you will be using your Spanish to write a paper that will also provide you with information about this group of people that you're going to be working with. Okay, who are they? What is it about this socio-economical group that makes this disease or that illness more prevalent? And why? Do they have access to healthcare? Do they have access to medication, to nutrition? Just before the open house today, some of the advisors and I were talking about some medication, and we were talking about the prices of medication and how they change so greatly from location to location. And you'll be able to see that as well. You'll be able to see that the price of medication not only changes from North America to South America, right? But also from country to country, because this program will take you through 3 countries. Okay, so not only will you see the cultural differences behind us, the people, the same people that speak the same language, but also you will be able to see those cultural differences and be able to, through this research project, understand how that impacts on the health of the people that are here. Okay, and hopefully that will also bring you closer to your future patients and understanding what is it about them that is creating perhaps this particular illness or disease. Okay. And of course, there is the volunteer opportunity, which allows you to leave a footprint behind, say thank you for hosting me and having me here. It's an altruistic opportunity, not necessarily in a clinical setting, but that it will give you the opportunity, again, to give back to the community and just to thank them for their hospitality. This program will allow you to become very self-confident. And one of the things that you heard a lot of the students talking about was how they change a little bit, you know, not a little bit, I would say a lot of it, through this program, how they grow so much and learn about themselves as well through this being pushed outside of their comfort zone, because there are a lot of differences, because it's not easy to take that step forward for everyone, to be away from the comforts of home. Right. And you'll be doing this program with other people that are in the same situation. And so you will have this network of people, of friends that have done the program with you. But the important thing here is to think that these are going to be your future colleagues. So you are already creating that network. And I know that there are several questions popping up. So I am going to open the mics. I'm going to ask the advisors if they can read some of those questions out for me, and we'll take it from there. So Karen, do you want to read one of yours?
Yeah, I've got a question here from Vanessa. She is wondering when applications close.
Okay, that's a great question. As a matter of fact, our first session is close to closing. So the first session, the one that begins on May 29th, the first summer session, sorry, I shouldn't say the first session because we do have a session in January and also a couple in May start dates, but the May 29th start date, which is our summer 1 program, is almost full. So if you are looking to apply for that date, I would suggest that you do so very soon, because that time is it's going very quickly. We do have some spots available for the summer 2 program, or we have few spots available, but more than for the May 29th. And there are spots available for the other dates as well. So if you are looking for that particular date, I would suggest that you do sign up as soon as possible. Okay, to get in contact with one of our advisors. All right, thanks, Karen. I hope that answers your question. Phil, do you have any on your screen there?
Yeah, I have one from Julie. Julie's asking about visa requirements. Visa requirement for the countries that the program is.
Right. Okay, yes, that's an excellent question. If you are a U.S. citizen, if you are holding a U.S. passport, you don't need any special visa to enter any of the 3 countries. However, if you are a holder of a passport that's not a U.S. passport, I would suggest that you connect with your local authorities to find out, the local embassy, to find out what the requirements are, depending on the nationality of your passport. Okay, most countries won't have a problem. Sometimes you do have to request the visa before entering the country. Other people just come in with their passports and their visa stamped in their passport here. You don't need a special visa. You don't need a student visa. You can just apply for those of you who need to apply for a visa. It's just a visitor's visa because you will only be in each country for 3 weeks. Okay, so that doesn't create the requirement of getting a student visa, which is a little more complex. Just a visitor's visa is fine for those of you that need visas. But again, if you are a holder of a passport, a U.S. passport, you don't have that situation. You don't have to get a visa prior to arriving. Okay, I hope that answers the question for Julie. Martha, do you have, yeah?
Yes, I do have one. Kevin is asking if there are any classes during the weekend.
Okay, that's a good question. Classes are scheduled for Monday to Friday. However, weekend activities are sometimes open. So there could be a volunteer opportunity during the weekend or an opportunity for research during the weekend as well. There are several things that happen on the weekend as well. A lot of students like to explore the surrounding areas and that kind of thing. So sometimes the schools will provide you with some opportunities to go on a walking tour or just, explore a little bit outside. A lot of students like to travel over the weekend just to, get a little more feedback from the local areas. So that's a possibility as well. All right, but classes are rarely booked on a weekend unless, something happens during the week that, a makeup class or something like that, but it's very rare. So classes are scheduled for Monday to Friday. I hope that answers the question as well for your student, Martha. Yeah, do we have any more questions or can we move on? We're good? Okay. All right. So I do see some questions that are being asked, but I think they're being answered as we go along by our advisors, and some of them do have to or deal with the topic of finance. Okay, I do suggest that you visit our website www.spanishandmedicine.com, all written out, and I'll show it to you on the screen a little bit further on. And you will find information about the cost of the program and what the program involves. And we'll talk a little bit about that in just a minute or so. But we want to tell you that as a not-for-profit organization, we do have some funds available for students who require a student-friendly 0% interest payment plan. That means that we will upfront the costs of the program for you, and you will pay or return the funds in installments that are, again, are 0% interest. They're small installments so that they're easy for students to manage. Okay, and that goes directly through us. You don't have to go through a financial institution or anything. Funds are limited for this, so if anybody is thinking about wanting to get that going for them, then that is also an option. But we always say connect with your homeschool advisor. A lot of our students do get financial aid for this program. They're quite successful at applying for financial aid and assistance. There are scholarships and grants available sometimes through your school. So always connect with your homeschool advisor and ask for information about funds that could be available to you for doing this program. If you have more questions regarding finances, you can definitely speak to your advisor, to your shadow abroad advisor as well, but do connect with your homeschool advisors to request information on that as well. We are a member of the AMSA Alliance, so we are providing an 80% discount on the application fee for AMSA members, as well as an automatic $250 scholarship. We do have some partial scholarships available for those of you who are not AMSA members. So, you can connect with your shadow abroad advisor and request information on that. And as a matter of fact, we are going to provide 100% discount. So you can apply for free. If you're watching this open house, let your shadow abroad advisor know that you were at this open house and Patty said that you could apply for 0%. All right, for $0 actually, or 100% off for having been with us this evening. But again, I suggest that you do that within the next week, because we do have very limited spots. Our spots are dictated by the number of shadowing opportunities that we have. And through COVID, you know, it's been very difficult. It's been very difficult for our medical students in Latin America to shadow. I know it's been difficult for shadowing opportunities as well in the United States. So we are very limited. There are 25 spots, only 25 spots available. So again, they go very quickly. We wish we could have all of you, but we want to make sure that we're providing those spots for people that are going to be successful with the program and that, you know, align a little bit with our mission and understand that they want to be a part of the solution. All right. A lot of parents out there, like I said earlier, are concerned about, where are you going? Where are you taking my kid? And I can understand that. I have college age kids myself, and I want to know where they're going to be. Okay, so I want to talk a little bit about that. And I wanted to let you know that all of our schools are located in upper middle class neighborhoods, both or in Chile, in Argentina, and Peru. Our schools are really concerned about your safety, and we want to make sure that you are able to walk around freely without having to look over your shoulder, so that you can explore and meet the locals, because that's a big part of the learning experience. And we always say travel safe, travel wise. Wherever you're traveling in the world, it's not much different. Okay, keep your valuables at home, be aware of your surroundings, and you should be fine. In the 20 years that we've been running, we haven't had an issue with this because we are very careful, because we take care of our students. And when you arrive to the school, you will have an orientation session that allows you to understand about the surrounding areas from the school, how to get to different places, how to find a bank, and where to find an ATM machine. And you know, just how to move around the city. And we will always be advising you of any safety concerns or any safety tips that you're going to need to have a good stay, where you're able to just, you know, like I said, move freely and safely where you are. Okay, but like I said, travel wise, wherever you're going in the world, I think that's good advice. Okay, if you have any questions, feel free to ask your advisors as well. We're happy to provide you with any answers that I'm missing here. We are almost at time. I've run a little bit quick, long. I always try to do 45 minutes, and we've already passed that. So I wanted to show you here our start dates. Like I said, the Summer 1 program starting on May 29th is almost full. If that's a date that you would like to take, then I suggest that you connect with one of our advisors as soon as possible, because there are very few spots left. Okay, you can find, again, all of this information on our website, like it says down here, www.spanishandmedicine.com. The core program includes the program, the 3 courses that you'll be taking, one in Chile, one in Argentina, and one in Peru. This program includes 3 Spanish courses, like I said, the medical shadowing, the healthcare research project, and it also includes travel flights between the cities. So you will, let's say you're starting in Chile, we will provide you with the flight to Argentina and the flight from Argentina to Peru as well. Okay, and it includes 4 nights of hotel stay in each location. Excuse me, sorry, let me just take a sip. I've been talking a lot here. All right, sorry about that. So like I said, it includes your 4 nights of hotel stay in each location. The idea behind those 4 nights is that it takes that, I guess, that pressure off. Okay, a lot of students like to stay in Airbnbs, or they just like to look at what's around before they make a decision on where they want to stay. And those 4 nights give you that option of making sure that you like your accommodations. You're not in a rush to select anything. And you have those 4 nights as a buffer to provide you with a little bit of security when arriving at each of the locations. Okay, if you have questions about any of this, please connect with your advisor, with your Shadow Abroad advisor. You can write in the chat box as well. Please send me more information and our advisors will be happy to connect with you. Again, if you are looking for a fluency program, a Spanish fluency program that will allow you to connect with your future patients, this is a program for you. I hope I've provided as much information as possible for you. It was wonderful having you here. I hope that you are connected with us in our mission to make life easier. It takes one student to learn Spanish to help thousands. When an immigrant learns their language, they're only helping themselves. So keep that in mind, and hopefully you are someone who wants to help us with that language gap crisis bridging. All right, thank you very much. Thanks to the staff that was here. It was wonderful having you. Buenas noches. Nos vemos.
Buenas noches.
Bye, everyone.